Hi, everyone. Welcome to the MMOA podcast. My name is Mayordomo. I'm an outpatient physical therapist and a TA with MMOA, the older adult division of ICE Physio. Today, I am discussing wellness class logistics, specifically things I have learned from running bone health bootcamp and osteoporosis workout class that I've been doing in the clinic I work at. So, logistics are so key to everything running smoothly in the hour or 45 minutes or however much you have to allocate for a workout class in the clinic. It's so key to everything running smoothly within the hour that you have with them. So, I've been doing this since early 2023, and there are definitely some things that I've changed around to make sure things run smoothly. So, today I'm going to talk about the three main logistical things that we will be talking about in terms of running a wellness class smoothly within a clinic. So, number one, knowing and planning the timeline of the workout, what equipment you have to utilize, and how you will space and map things out for your actual workout or programming of the day. So, first, know and plan the timeline of your workout. So I kind of learned this in a CrossFit Level 1 class and also training with a CrossFit coach at my local CrossFit gym, that pretty much every minute is accounted for within that hour. So for every bone health bootcamp class I run, I always program a strength training portion, usually for upper and lower extremity, a conditioning portion where we're focusing on power, impact, balance, possibly some accessory strengthening as well, to make sure that they are solid for our strength portion. Um, One thing I want to note is making sure you communicate with your coworkers the best you can so that you don't step on anyone's toes. If you know you're going to be using the squat rack from, let's say, 12:30 p.m. to 12:50 p.m., if someone is in that back gym with you or in the squat rack area, definitely let them know that's the time you're going to be using it, and if they were planning on using it, that it'll be free outside of that time frame. Let's say if the goal of the workout is to do a heavy back squat that day and also to do bent over rows, making sure you've planned, are you using a barbell for that movement? Are you using kettlebells or dumbbells for the other movement? Um, I'm lucky because I have access to a lot of stuff. We'll talk about that in a sec. But I would try to make sure, like, okay, would it be easier for me to do the bent over rows with dumbbells to save yourself the time of switching the weights out and plates a bunch during the workout? And you also just want to make sure that what you planned in your workout fits the time that you have. Sometimes I get a little too excited and I have programmed a little too much, and then we don't get to certain portions of it. So I've definitely learned to make sure I'm adding a few extra minutes to account for questions if somebody really wants you to watch their technique and that takes away from the flow of the class for a second. All those things have to be accounted for to make sure you're successful and that you're doing everything that you plan to do within that time. So, secondly, know what equipment you have to utilize. I'm lucky in that in the clinic we have a squat rack, we have two 45-pound barbells, which some of my classes are using them already and some aren't. We have one trap bar, all the kettlebells in pairs from 9 pounds to 53 pounds, dumbbell pairs from 1 pound to 100 pounds, but only one set of each of the heavier dumbbells past 5 pounds. We have an adjustable bench if somebody can't do an overhead press and we want to do an incline press. We also have a non-adjustable bench and soft plyo boxes. So there's plenty of equipment. Let's say the conditioning portion of the workout has jumping pull-ups and push-ups. I usually utilize the barbell on the rack wrapped with heavy resistance bands to mimic a pull-up bar, because usually there's something about having a plyo box to step onto to actually be on that high pull-up bar that kind of scares people sometimes. So I usually just bring the bar to them to make them feel more confident that they are on the ground when they're jumping. But in general, regardless of whether you're using the pull-up bar or bringing a barbell down to bring the barbell or to bring the bar to them for jumping pull-up, you still can't utilize that for a push-up, like an incline push-up. So normally I'm using our Ultra G because it has like something for them to hold on to the side and it's easy to adjust up and down. I have them use the plyo boxes if we're not using that for the workout, or even using a plinth if that's a good height that's challenging enough for them, or a bench if they're wanting to go really low and they're almost like to the ground for their push-ups. So when you are planning your programming in advance, you have to make sure that you're mindful of the space that you're in, so you aren't running around with your head cut off last minute, like I have a few times because I realized I didn't have the equipment set up for what I programmed. Or if we were going to be utilizing a barbell for one part, I couldn't use like a barbell in the other part because we just don't have enough place to be able to like move around and shift around between two sets of people. I usually have 6 people total in my class. So I have 3 people working on the upper body part and then 3 people working on the lower body part at a time. So third, plan how you will space things out. For the strength portion, I like to have everyone on the same side of the room so I can coach them all without having to yell across the room because they might not hear me. And I can keep track of the timer and give them reminders on how much time they have left for a certain portion, but also being mindful of having enough space to squat and deadlift safely while the other half of the class is doing some sort of upper extremity pushing or pulling movement. For the conditioning portion, I usually utilize, we have like a long space. It's like 45 feet by 20-ish feet in our gym. So I usually like to utilize the length of the room for some sort of carry, like a farmer's carry, suitcase carry, med ball carry. And then the beginning end of the room, I will normally use for some kind of footwork, med ball work, push-ups, and the end of the room for impact, plank type movements, and anything that requires dumbbells because it's on that side. So if somebody wanted to switch dumbbells or kettlebells during the workout, it'd be right there and they don't have to spend that like 45 seconds in a circuit just to get a new set of dumbbells. It's right there. So you definitely want to map out, or in your head pretty much, where things will go for each part of your workout. That way you can focus on your athletes and making sure they have a solid workout rather than running around with your head cut off because you didn't pre-plan where everything was going to be and you had to do it during the class. So logistics and preparation are so key when it comes to running a workout class. Just as a recap, we want to make sure we know the plan and know the timeline of our workout, or know and plan the timeline of a workout pretty much. When we'll be using parts of the clinic and gym space, and make sure that we have every piece of our workout accounted for, from our whiteboard brief to our warm up to our strengthening portion to our conditioning portion, and if you have to announce anything in between. Second, know what equipment you have to utilize with what you programmed and make sure it flows well if you're doing 2 different movements. And lastly, know how you will space things out so that you can quickly set up each part and be able to actually focus on coaching your athletes. I know usually I'm coming on here and talking about things like community and like motivational stuff, but I think logistics are kind of that like unsexy thing of wellness classes where it's super important. Like you want to get it down so that your athletes have a good experience and you want it to flow well. If you ask any of my friends, I'm not usually the most like plan everything ahead of time kind of gal. I'm kind of a like, let's go with the flow. Let's do this if we feel like it. But for something like this, I am definitely pretty particular about making sure I know exactly the timeline of the workout, knowing exactly what equipment I have to utilize, and if I have enough equipment, if I know that athletes might be at different levels, and also making sure that you kind of map out in your head, like, okay, I'm going to do this circuit with 6 movements or 3 movements. Here's where everything is going to go, and that's how I'm going to set it up when I get into the clinic/gym. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening. If you're wanting to learn more about how I program Bone Health Bootcamp out of a clinic, or you want to ask me questions live, these are just one of the lessons I talk about in the Vice that I'm doing on Bone Health Bootcamp tomorrow night at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So I'll be talking about lessons learned from Bone Health Bootcamp, programming examples, with like videos and all that fun stuff. So join me if you can. It's again tomorrow. I'm doing a Vice on Bone Health Bootcamp tomorrow, June 4th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on our Ice Physio app. And in case you wanted to join us on the road, our MMOA live course is coming up. This weekend, we have one June 8th to 9th in Spring, Texas. We have one June 22nd to 23rd in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And we have one on July 13th to 14th in Virginia Beach. If any of you will be at MMOA Summit at the end of July in Colorado at Ellen's Clinic, this is our MMOA live course where most of the MMOA faculty will be. I will see you there. If you weren't planning on it, but you're curious, I hope you join us. It'll be tons of fun. So thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.